is close, very close to me. It took me some while to stand up here and try to express how I feel about this Nora Parham case, having to live this blow by blow. Growing up as a child, seeing your mother put in a corner, it's no joke. But like I say, I thank God once again that mom is alive, my father has changed, and all of our siblings have become somebody in society. We have a doctor in the family, several teachers, and here we are today that we can share this story for everyone. And now God has given me the opportunity to go nationwide so that there we can share this story and probably can change the life of many others living this same situation. This is real. This is not 60, 70 years ago. This is now. And so I applaud the government for taking this initiative. And let's work together to end this violence. It's very few that make it out of this hole. This is like an abyss to climb. Violence is the home is something very serious. And for you to grow and become somebody in life, it's double difficult than one who has it. I see it with my own children, how we broke away from those chains of violence, chains of poverty. Your kids grow with so much love, and you can feel it while we were growing up. So I say, together we can change it. And one more thing before I end. There was another killing that was close to me, Tracy Thompson, a friend of mine, supposedly slain by her ex-husband and in front of her 2 kids. That's the reason I stand here and I say, you know what? Thank God that mom is alive today. And I can say that 1,000,000 times. Thank God that she is out and we have a better way of life. Thank you, Madam President.
I recognize Senator Bevan Powell.
Thank you, Madam President. And I too would like to congratulate and welcome the 2 new senators who were sworn in today. Madam President, I was recently reading an article by David Pissarra, a Los Angeles divorce and child custody lawyer. In his article, he stated, and I quote, "Mistakes, injustices happens to individuals and societies, but thankfully, history has its eyes on us. And as has been said, the arc of history bends towards justice." Madam President, 59 years ago, a grave injustice was done to Nora Parham and her family. This injustice occurred when Nora Parham's life was ended in the harshest way possible. This grave injustice, Madam President, left a stain in our history, a stain that reflects a young mother standing for herself, a young mother standing against domestic violence, a young mother who was standing for her kids, a young mother who was only seeking justice, but justice never came to her. This sort of event in our history, Madam President, must be corrected. It is unacceptable to have such an event in our history. Today, we're here to correct that. Today, a motion is being passed, Madam President, to correct the wrong, the injustice that was done. And we can only hope that this can bring some relief to the family. Madam President, I hope that this historic moment will bring hope to the million Belizeans who are living this reality, who are going through domestic violence, who are living a violent life, that this story can show them that there is a way out. May the story of Nora Parham give the courage to stand up, to speak up against violence. And we also, as a state, as a nation, assure them that their voices will be heard and their issues will be addressed, Madam President. I too would like to join the many Belizeans to apologize to the family of Nora Parham. Madam President, I fully support that Nora Parham be granted the posthumous pardon. Thank you.
I recognize Senator Dr. Leslie Guerra.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I stand in support of this motion. There are many lessons learned, and we have heard it, but let this be a signal for the present and future that we should, as a society, we should work to put all the measures necessary to address all kinds of violence in our society, that we should, as a nation, work together to make sure that all the victims and the survivors of domestic violence get the necessary psychological support that they need, that all the plans and the measures and strategies that are being put in place are done with a human right approach. We should work to ensure that all the survivors will have in place all the necessary measures that they need. We need to build safe housing for those mothers that need to integrate back into society. This is what I rise and I voice today to make sure that we continue to put the necessary measures in place. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I recognize Senator Kevin Herrera.
Madam President, just briefly, I rise to support the motion for the posthumous pardon for Nora Parham. Madam President, I think that I think many of my fellow senators had spoken before with respect to the injustice that took place, and I think that in the history of countries, so often we have to go back and try to confront some of the injustices that may have taken place earlier, and I think this is one of those. And so I commend the current administration tremendously for taking that step. I think it's never too late to confront our past and try to correct it as best we can at the time we've decided to do so. I think if we really look at it, Madam President, it's a situation that went too far. And this is why it's extremely important, especially when we talk about our criminal justice system, that we fix our broken system. Because so much of these situations are going too far, where people feel like our system is delivering more injustice than justice. And then we go into the type of situations such as what Nora Parham had faced. And I think that it's incumbent on us, while we try to correct this wrong, correct this injustice, that we look at the current situation, the many persons, both male and female, who are being abused domestically. We hear it on the news almost every week. I think some of our fellow senators mentioned many of the women who have lost their lives over the past couple of years. And I think that we can do a lot better than that. But again, we need to try to fix our system. We don't want this type of situation to continue to grow, because in a way it affects all of us. I mean, there are many, many victims in every one of these situations. There are many victims. I like my fellow senators, watched the news last week, and I saw all his sons. I think the only one I know among them is Dean Williams, who I'd worked with at the B&E Trust on the board. But extremely great gentleman, and I could just see that his other siblings are very similar to what my impression of him was. And but they were all victims, and I'm sure they've had it was a terrible time for them, but they overcame it. And like what I see all the time, you know, people have a way to survive, but we want to limit as much as possible these type of traumatic situations for our young people, for everyone. And I think that it's incumbent on all of us to look at our legal system, our criminal justice system, and to try to correct this, try to protect those who may be vulnerable among us, for these types of crimes to happen. So I rise in full support of the motion. I think it's something that should have been done a long time ago, but it's never too late, Madam President, and I'm glad that we've taken this step today. Thanks.
Madam President, as I wind up the debate on this very important motion, I would simply join fellow senators who have identified the issues. One is personal, one is policy, and one is legal. We heard from Senator Williams and Senator Herrera, their personal or part of their personal experience with this type of gender-based violence and the relationship with their families. And the focus of the Nora Parham pardon is not only on the personal aspect, the fact that she lost her life in unjust circumstances, having been the victim of violence, but it also points out and it brings into the fore the fact that gender-based violence continues in our country today at levels that are unacceptable. This resolution, this motion, has brought a sense of maturity, a sense of unity, and a sense of nationalism, where across the political divide and joining with the social sector, I think there is a renewed commitment to dealing with this issue. It's not easy. It's not going to be done in a day, overnight, but we have to move, and I believe we are moving in the right direction. In terms of policy, it is interesting. I was looking at a report by the World Justice Project on the rule of law in Belize. And there is an aspect of the report that speaks about the perception of society to gender issues. Madam President, there's a lot of work to be done. We are still, in many ways, a conservative society. That report, for example, just as one example, significant amount of the persons surveyed said the man must be responsible for all the expenses in the home. This is at a time when many women, married, living with someone, single mothers, are in the workplace. But there is still a perception of the domination and the responsibility of the male in the home setting. So we have to attack from a policy perspective what is happening in schools, in the workplace, and in the wider community. And again, the Nora Parham motion has brought this into the fore and has caused us to have to look at it self-critically as a society. And finally, from a legal perspective, I believe it was Senator Chanona who identified the need, and Senator Smith who identified the need for us to look specifically at the provisions in the Constitution, the powers that are given to courts to impose appropriate sentences, The death penalty remains on our books, but it is not being used. And so we have to, as a part of the constitutional and political reform work, look at how sentences are imposed and also how pardons may be given in appropriate circumstances. I want to thank all our colleagues for the rich debate that we have, Madam President, because this is an important day. I think once, assuming that the Governor General is persuaded that she should exercise her power, we should at least, if not have a Nora Parham Day, should at least have a day of mourning, a day of reflection. Flags should be, all have events where we can focus on these issues. Thank you, Madam President.
Honorable members, that motion is referred to the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee for examination, consideration, and report. I recognize the Leader of Government Business.
Madam President, I move that whereas the year 2022 marks the 33rd anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between Belize and the Republic of China, Taiwan, and whereas for these 33 years of friendship, Belize and Taiwan have continuously supported and helped each other and closely cooperated in numerous areas ranging from infrastructure, medical and public health, agriculture, sustainable environment, information and communication technology, to culture and education. And whereas all bilateral cooperation projects between Belize and Taiwan, including road construction, motor vehicle registration and license system, breeding sheep and goat production, urban resilience and disaster prevention, medical imaging systems, women empowerment, Mandarin teaching, and talent cultivation are currently proceeding smoothly. And whereas the Honorable John Briceño, Prime Minister of Belize, visited Taiwan and was welcomed by Her Excellency Dr. Tsai Ing-wen, President of the Republic of China, Taiwan, on the 9th March 2022, and the government of Taiwan has committed to work with the government of Belize to construct a new hospital with state-of-the-art medical facilities in San Pedro and Burgess Key for the health and wellness of the Belizean people. And whereas to assist Belize in its fight against COVID-19 pandemic, Taiwan has donated large quantities of medical supplies and personal protective equipment to Belize and shared its successful experiences containing the pandemic with Belize, demonstrating Taiwan's commitment to helping its allies and international partners in need. And whereas Taiwan is a faithful ally and development partner to Belize, and the generosity and contribution Taiwan made to other countries have shown Taiwan is an indispensable part of the global community, and Taiwan can play and has played a critical role in the world. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Honorable House expresses its full support to Taiwan's participation in all related international organizations, including the United Nations, the World Health Assembly, the International Criminal Police Organization, the International Civil Aviation Organization, and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to President Tsai Ing-wen through the Embassy of the Republic of China, Taiwan, and to the Office of the Prime Minister as a tangible token of the friendship expressed herein.
I recognize Senator Antonio Herrera.
Madam President, we support that motion. However, we want to support it with gratitude. On behalf of the people of Corozal, and especially Corozal Southeast, we would like to thank the people and government of Taiwan for having granted the dream to have a road, a paved road with 2 bridges, $100 million afforded to the government of Belize under our tenure to have that Corozal to Sartaneja road. So on behalf of our side and the people of Corozal, we say thank you and we support this motion fully. Thanks, Madam President.
Leader.
It needs to be referred to the committee.
Honorable members, that motion is referred to the Constitution and Affairs Committee for examination, consideration, and report. I recognize the Leader of Government Business.
Madam President, with your permission, I would like to take the next motions together.
You may so proceed.
Much obliged. Madam President, I move that whereas Section 3.1 of the Prevention of Corruption Act, Chapter 105 of the Substantive Laws of Belize provides for the establishment of a body to be known as Integrity Commission, which shall consist of a chairperson, who shall be an attorney at law with not less than 5 years standing, and 6 other members who shall be persons of integrity and high national standing. And whereas it is further provided by subsection 2 of that section, that 2 members of the Integrity Commission shall be appointed by the Governor General, acting in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister, given with the concurrence of the Leader of the Opposition, and the other members of the Integrity Commission, including the chairperson, shall be appointed by the Governor General, acting in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister, given after consultation with the Leader of the Opposition. And whereas Section 3(2) of the Act further provides that in the process of consultation with the Leader of the Opposition for the appointment of the chairperson, the Prime Minister shall use his best endeavors to secure the agreement of the Leader of the Opposition. And whereas after consultation with the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Prime Minister intends to advise Governor General to appoint Mrs. Andrea McSweeney McCoy, Attorney at Law, as chairperson of the Integrity Commission. Whereas Mrs. Andrea McSweeney McCoy is a person of integrity and high national standing and is duly qualified to be appointed as the chairperson of the Integrity Commission. And whereas by sections 2(c) and 3 of section 61A of the Constitution of Belize, provide that a member of the Integrity Commission can only be validly appointed with the prior approval of the Senate. Now therefore be it resolved that this Honorable Senate, having perused the curriculum vitae of Mrs. Andrea McSweeney McCoy, and being satisfied that she is fit and proper to be appointed as chairperson of the Integrity Commission, hereby approves the said appointment for a period of 2 years with effect from the 1st April 2022. And whereas Ms. Catherine Main, Ms. Zoe Robertson Setina, Mr. Ricardo McGill, Mr. George Swift, Ms. Pael Ganwani, Mr. Gerard Isigiri are persons of integrity and high national standing. And whereas subsections 2(c) and 3 of section 61A of the Constitution of Belize provide that a member of the Integrity Commission can only be validly appointed with the prior approval of the Senate. Now therefore be it resolved that this Honorable Senate, having perused the curriculum vitae of Ms. Catherine Main, Ms. Zoe Robertson Zetina, Mr. Ricardo McGill, Mr. George Swift, Ms. Pael Ganwani, Mr. Gerard Isigiri, and being satisfied that they are fit and proper persons to be appointed as members of the Integrity Commission, hereby approves the said appointment for a period of 2 years with effect from the 1st April 2022.
Honorable members, the motions for the appointment of Mrs. Andrea McSweeney McCoy as chairperson of the Integrity Commission and appointment of Ms. Catherine Main, Ms. Zoe Robertson, Mr. Ricardo Moguel, Mr. George R. Swift, Ms. Pael Ganwani, and Mr. Gerard Isigiri as members of the Integrity Commission. Motion 2022 is referred to the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee for examination, consideration, and report.
Whole Senate on motion.
Honorable members, in accordance with Standing Order 68, the Senate will now resolve itself into the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee, a committee of the whole Senate, to consider the motions referred to. I ask that the guests to please clear the gallery. I recognize the Leader of Government Business.
Madam President, the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee has met and considered the motion to seek to move the Belize Advisory Council to advise Her Excellency the Governor General to exercise the prerogative of mercy 2022 and has agreed that it be returned back to the Senate for adoption. I therefore move that the question be put.
Honorable members, the question is now therefore be it resolved that Nora Parham be granted a posthumous pardon, and 2, the sentence of death by hanging imposed on Nora Parham and executed on June 5th, 1963 be revoked. All those in favor kindly say aye. Aye. Those against kindly say no. The ayes have it. I recognize the Leader of Government Business.
Madam President, the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee has met and considered the motion to support Taiwan's participation in international organizations 2022 and has agreed that it be reported back to the Senate for adoption. I therefore move that the question be put.
Honorable members, the question is now therefore be it resolved that this Honorable House expresses its full support to Taiwan's participation in all related international organizations, including the United Nations, the World Health Assembly, the International Criminal Police Organization, the International Civil Aviation Organization, and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to the President Tsai Ing-wen through the Embassy of the Republic of China, Taiwan, and to the Office of the Prime Minister as a tangible token of the friendship expressed herein. All those in favor kindly say aye. Aye. Those against kindly say no. The ayes have it. I recognize the Leader of Government Business.
Madam President, the Constitution and Foreign Affairs Committee has met and considered the appointment of Mrs. Andrea Maxine McCoy as Chairperson of the Integrity Commission Motion 2022 and has agreed that it be returned back to the Senate for adoption. It has also met and considered the appointment of Ms. Catherine Main, Ms. Zoe Robertson Zetina, Mr. Ricardo McGill, Mr. George Swift, Ms. Payer Ganwani, and Mr. Gerard Isugeri as a member of the Integrity Commission Motion 2022 and has agreed that it be returned back to the Senate for adoption. I therefore move that the questions be put.
Honorable members, the question is now therefore be it resolved that this Honorable Senate, having perused the curriculum vitae of Mrs. Andrea Maxine McCoy, Ms. Catherine Main, Ms. Zoe Robertson Zetina, Mr. Ricardo McGill, Mr. George R. Swift, Ms. Payel Ganwani, and Mr. Jared Isagire, and being satisfied that they are fit and proper persons to be appointed as the chairperson and members of the Integrity Commission, hereby approves the said appointments for the period of 2 years with effect from 1st April 2022. All those in favor kindly say aye. Aye. Those against kindly say no. The ayes have it. I recognize the Leader of Government Business.
Madam President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn.
Honorable members, before I pose the question, I wish to make 2 comments. First, I want to acknowledge the apologies of Senator Honorable Bishop Moses Benguier, who indicated he was unable to come today because he was diagnosed with COVID-19. We wish him a speedy recovery. And 2, I wish to say how honored and privileged I am to have served as the presiding officer as we adopt the motion to where is it? Give me 1 second because I want to ensure I read it correct. For Nora Parham to be granted a posthumous pardon and for the sentence of death by hanging imposed on Nora Parham and executed on June 5th, 1963, be revoked. I believe that it shows what unity within the Senate of government and opposition and social partners can so do. Honorable members, the question is that the Senate do now adjourn. All those in favor, kindly say aye. Aye. Those against, kindly say no. The ayes have it. The Senate now stands adjourned.
Warm today with highs in the upper 80s to around 90. The core of that heat's going to get here tomorrow, more so into Saturday, and then it'll hang into Sunday as well before a front drops through and cools us off a little bit for the first part of next week. In fact, our forecast high for tomorrow is 96, going into Saturday 97, then 92 on Sunday. In fact, tomorrow we may tie the record high from 1934. It looks like we have the potential to shatter the record high of 93 on Saturday. When you factor in the humidity, it'll feel like about 97 to 100 in the hottest part of tomorrow afternoon, 98 to 102 on Saturday, and about 93 to 97 on Sunday. So Sunday will feel a little bit less humid, a little bit cooler, but for the most part, it is still going to be a pretty hot day, in fact. Okay, so we go through the next couple days pretty hot going into the first half of the weekend, still kind of hot and humid on Sunday. Then the front comes through, then we really start to see a downturn in temperatures Monday and especially into Tuesday, with highs going back down into the 70s. In fact, Tuesday is going to feel roughly about 30 degrees cooler than it will be the next couple days in terms of the feel to your body.
Hello, panelists. We will be going live in 1 minute, just for your information.
Yeah, you push. You.
Recording in progress.
Excellencies, honourable guests, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all present today in our Popov room and at ITU headquarters, and to all of you who are following us remotely. I'm Max Jacobson Gonzalez, and I will be your Master of Ceremonies today, as well as the moderator for our special panel discussion. On behalf of the elected officials of the International Telecommunication Union, Mr. Hu Lin Zhao, Secretary General, Mr. Malcolm Johnson, Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Mario Manovich, Director of the Radio Communication Bureau, Mr. Chesab Lee, Director of the Telecommunications Standardization Bureau, and Ms. Doreen Bogdan Martin of the Telecommunication Development Bureau, a big thank you for joining us from around the world to celebrate World Telecommunication and Information Society Day, WTISD, 2022. World Telecommunication Information Society Day has been celebrated annually every year since 1969. And it's to mark the founding of ITU and the signing of the first International Telegraph Convention 157 years ago in 1865. WTISD 2022 puts the spotlight on digital technologies for older persons and healthy aging, reflecting a demographic trend of the 21st century and in support of the UN Decade of Healthy Aging. To start the celebrations, we'd like to present a short video that we've prepared for you on this very important topic and the impact of digital technology may have on aging populations worldwide. Thank you.
Connectivity is becoming ever more important at every stage of life, in every part of our lives.